Cooperation and conflict are major themes in our lives as social beings. Disagreement is a major source of conflicts. People disagree all the time, from everyday disagreements between friends and families to big debates over religion, ideology, political opinions, and more. This raises important questions. Why do people disagree? And can disagreements be avoided? People can disagree about many things, but generally, we can distinguish between two types: disagreements about facts and disagreements about values. To understand why we disagree, we must delve deeper into these categories. Facts are descriptive in nature. They describe something about reality. They tell us what things are and how they are like. Clearly defined facts can be verified using empirical evidence, such as scientific data and historical records. But facts alone cannot tell us how things should be or how people should behave. For that, we need values. Values are deep-seated preferences that guide our behavior and decisions, such as our ideas about what is important, what is right and wrong, and what is good and bad. Let's first examine disagreements about facts. These can happen for two main reasons. One reason is that one side to the disagreement is wrong, or both are wrong. When facts are properly defined, they describe an objective reality. If two versions of the same reality arise, at least one of them has to be wrong. This can happen when someone fails to access the right information or properly evaluate evidence. It's also common for people to commit logical fallacies. We can speak more about common fallacies in a future video. The second reason for disagreements about facts is misaligned definitions of terms. Two people can use the same words to describe different things. Language can be tricky. Take the word bank. It can refer to a financial institution or the side of a river. People use terms like freedom or love to mean slightly different things in different contexts. In such cases, there appears to be a disagreement, but both sides could be right by their own definitions and are simply talking past each other. This is not just a problem in everyday exchanges or internet squabbles, but also happens in serious academic discussion. Does that mean such superficial disagreements can be quickly resolved if people simply bother to define their terms properly? The truth is, defining terms unambiguously is not an easy feat. Generally, mathematical and natural sciences employ terms that are easier to define due to the precision attained in those disciplines, whereas fields like history and social sciences struggle to achieve the same level of precision due to their complex nature. The key is to be aware of the limitations in achieving absolute precision, and to adjust the certainty of our beliefs or opinions to match that level of precision. Now let's turn to disagreements about values. Similar to disagreements about facts, disagreements about values can also come from misaligned definitions of terms. Basic terms such as morality are still serious topics for debate among philosophers. But even when we clear up the terminology, a disagreement about values does not mean that one side must be wrong. This is because there is no single standard of value, and people's basic interests can directly clash. Imagine two people stranded in a desert, both gasping at the last drop of water for survival. If both value their lives and disagree about who should have the last drop, there is no objective way to decide who is right. One party's basic interest can only be addressed at the expense of the other. This might lead some to believe that disagreements over values are irresolvable and that all right and wrong are relative. But before going that far, let's consider a third possible reason for disagreements over values. Not all values are directly driven by such basic interests. Values can also be acquired through various processes. Let's first consider the process of mental association. Mental association is the process whereby ideas, concepts, or mental states become linked together in the mind. For example, as we learn about how society functions, we begin to value money because we associate it with the material benefits that money can bring. But if one day money can no longer bring us those benefits, the value we place on money can become invalid. So when society changes the way it functions, the value we have acquired needs to be revised. Similarly, evolutionary processes shape our values through instinctive or subconscious mechanisms. For instance, humans may be born with an instinctive aversion to people with different skin colors, and this could have been an evolutionary advantage in a primitive tribal environment. But in modern society, where people of diverse physical appearance often live close to each other, this instinct may turn into bias or prejudice and lead to conflicts. So values acquired from evolutionary processes can also lose their validity when the environment changes. Since acquired values can become right or wrong depending on the contexts, disagreements on such values can be resolved by examining whether the underlying processes that produced them are still relevant. We should avoid two extremes when thinking about disagreements. The idealistic notion that all disagreements are avoidable through peaceful discussion is unrealistic. Sometimes two parties can disagree on a fundamental level because their core values and interests directly conflict. It's essential to acknowledge the real clash of interests in such cases. Trying to force a superficial agreement can lead to frustration and even bigger conflicts later on. On the other extreme, think that all disagreements are unavoidable and that violent conflicts are always inevitable is equally wrong. While some disagreements are deeply rooted and hard to resolve, many can be managed or mitigated through effective communication and negotiation. Resolving disagreements requires both parties to have an honest intention to reach common ground. This process can often be hampered by the desire to win an argument, assert dominance, or spread falsehood. If one party enters a discussion with the intention to dominate or mislead, genuine resolution becomes impossible. If you find yourself dealing with someone that lacks genuine intention, it is crucial to set realistic expectations. Recognizing when a disagreement is resolvable and when it is not can save time and prevent unnecessary conflict. By understanding and acknowledging the sources of our disagreements and striving for honest communication, we can move towards a more harmonious society and a less conflicted world. Together, we hope to build a future where cooperation prevails over conflict.